Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Beowulf the movie game is a game slightly based on Beowulf the movie that came out years ago. I think it had Ray Winston in it, Angelina Jolie. It was like a computer-generated movie, and here you have the board game version of it. At the time, there were two Beowulf games released. Beowulf, which was based off just the poem, then you had Beowulf the movie game. Beowulf the poem game was much more enjoyed. People liked that one. This one, let's dig into it and what people liked and didn't like about it. First of all, it's a complete retheme. This was a game called Kingdoms by Reiner Knizia, and they slapped the Beowulf movie thing on it, and it really doesn't make any sense with the IP or the theme. This was strictly a way to take Kingdoms and maybe make it a little bit more of a selling or topical at the time, and why not throw some Beowulf pieces on it? Looking back, the movie 1 wasn't a big hit. It was kind of a flop. 2, I'm kind of surprised they did it. 3, I'm extremely surprised they picked this game to do it with. They really, in the rulebook, they try to maneuver things to make it fit the IP, but this is the very definition of a cash-in. You take a game that already exists, you Monopoly anyone, you slap an IP on it, the Muppets, Beowulf the movie, and you try to push some widgets onto unsuspecting people who may like the movie or may just be into the topical guide, which you have here of Beowulf. So it is the very essence of a movie cash-in. Now, what about the game itself? Kingdoms is an okay abstract game. You know how you score, you play it really 3 times, and each board gets bigger. It could be argued that maybe the first game isn't that important, so why are you playing it in the first place? I definitely could see that. You have certain pieces that can be played one time in the game. I think as an abstract game, it's fine. It's not something you're going to be like, wow, I want to pull this off the shelves tonight. Does the Beowulf do anything for it? Not really. I think decisions you're making, it's kind of like one of those luckless-based type of games that you're going on, and the little pieces will activate in certain ways. Some of them have special powers. It's kind of an interesting game. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth when it has this nonsensical IP just slapped onto it. For that reason, I've had this on a shelf for years. We never wanted to pull it off, and I think that's just as good as any reason to get rid of it. Some of the reasons why I'm not a real big abstract fan, and this one doesn't do anything like overly interesting to me. It's okay. It's probably the very definition of mediocre to me. Decisions are fine. Nothing mind-boggling here. I think the components are really good. I think those are really going to pop from the table. I just don't think there's enough here, and it's going to make you pull up the table and an IP. Ugh. So this is an absolute purge for me. Here's Beowulf, the movie board game. Every legend has a king. You can see that Beowulf is striking the dragon on the front. You're going to have a rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. You're going to get some player aids that are nice. Now, these will tell you what all the special tiles will do, and these are very nice to have in the game. You're going to have a board. Now, you're going to have an Act 1 board, an Act 2 board, and then an Act 3 board on the back. So every part of this is utilized for game purposes. And then you're going to have a giant box with a lot of air in here. You can see everything kind of goes underneath. And we'll take a look at all the components. Here are the minis. You're going to have enough in 4 different colors, but these will be the minis that you'll have for each of the people. You're going to have some of these boats. Now, these look really, really neat. I really like these, especially for such a game. Here are the cities that you will have. You can see a lot of detail in here for such a small, just a little fun game that you're having here. Some really neat pieces that you're going to have. Didn't need to be in here, but here they sit. And they look pretty cool, actually. So it's hard not to be happy with these. And here is Beowulf himself, I suppose. And here are the tiles. You can see they have different backs to them. And then you can see pictures from the movie, the stills that will be included here. You can see that they just have... The pictures really don't mean a whole lot, but I guess they're supposed to be like storytelling devices as you're playing, but not too bad. Here are the victory point tokens you'll be utilizing during the game. They have different shapes and numbers and colors on them to signify the differences to them. Here's a rulebook for Beowulf. We're going to have an overview here with components, and you'll see pictures, and those will continue on to the next pages. So you're going to have pictures of all the components here, which is fantastic, with an explanation of what they are. Setup, and it bleeds over on this page, but you do have a nice 4-player setup picture over here. The play, you're really going to have two things you can do on a turn. Place a figure, a draw, and play a tile. And it's very clear. And then how to end the act. A little bit of explanation of special abilities. And this game is all about scoring. So lots of examples of scoring with pictures and examples included. And then a little bit of how to do the final one. I thought it was an excellent rule book. I think Fantasy Flight gets a wrap. Here's a full act on the back for their scores. But between that and these player aids, I feel like the game was easy to understand. I didn't have any problems. I think 10, 15 minutes at max. It's an abstract game. You'll be up and running. The first act of the game will be played on this side of the board, and then the second act will be played here, and then finally the third act you will open it up and you'll play on this side of the board. They all play exactly the same. It's just different size and different component-wise on the board. On your turn, you can do one of two actions. You can either place one of your miniatures anywhere on the board that you like. What you're going to do is you're going to take all of the level 1, since we're on Act 1, there'll be Act 2 tiles, and there will be Act 3 tiles also. So you take the Act 1, you're going to put these face down, and everybody's going to get 2 to be their starting hand. And the rest of these will be placed face down off the side of the board. Then everybody will get 50 points to start the game because you can lose points as the game goes. Now, you have one of two actions you can do. The first possible action is you can place a miniature down. You can choose whatever miniature that you want to place down. But just know at the end of the act, the only ones you're going to get back are the boats. Anybody else you play, they're one-time play, and once you play them, they're out of the game, but the boats you will get back to be able to use over and over again. So you can literally just take one of your miniatures and place it anywhere on the board that you like. The second thing you can do, that would be a possible action, you can draw a tile from the group. Now you have 3, and you place one of the tiles down. You can see here that the tiles will have, these right here have negative victory points on them. And I'll just show you some more. This one has a positive victory point. This one has a negative victory point. So as you play these out, they might also have these little insignias on them that are special actions that can be done, and I'll go over those in a second. So what you'll do is you place one of these down. You obviously don't want to place a -4 by you because that's not good, and you'll place that down. Once everything is played and you're ready to score, I'm just going to give you a quick example here. You will take how many points there are. So 6, 7, -4 is 3. So this column is worth 3. And you would multiply it by the number on here, which is 2. So you have 2 times 3 is 6. So you would score 6 points for that. And then you would take the saga points here. Now you're going to do that for each one, each column, and every row. And once you do that, you will go on to the next act. After playing 3 acts, whoever has the most saga points is going to be the winner of the game. Who should buy this game? Obviously, if you're a fan of Beowulf the movie and you like Kingdoms, right? If that crisscrosses you, this is an obvious purchase. If you like Beowulf, I'd probably say go with the other Beowulf game that was released in the same time period. I think that's better. If you like Kingdoms and it's a game that you enjoy and you do want the Beowulf facade on it, then I think this is definitely something that you could benefit from, right? You'll be all in on this. Otherwise, I mean, you want a little light abstract game. This game can be found very cheaply. The components are really good. They're not good at that. I think they'd have any purpose if you pull them out to play in a different game. But I think that for what you get here in the package, it's running probably $5-10 on BGG. I definitely think it could be worth a purchase. Otherwise, this is one you could probably skip by and not notice that you missed it. Purge for me.